We're talking Puppet Master today, 1989's Puppet Master. I know Gene is going to love this movie. For those of us watching on YouTube,
I'm rolling my eyes on
you can see that we are once again joined by beloved friend of the show, Scott Eggleston, director of Bad Bones, which we talked about in episode 14, and the upcoming Theater of Pain. Any updates, Scott, on Theater of Pain?
Yeah, it's painful getting through this edit.
Well, speaking of pain, Gene, where are you at with Puppet Master?
All I have to do, I looked on IMDb, the director, David Schmoller. Yeah, and so he directed this wonderful small film. But then he also directed a movie called Tourist Trap, which we reviewed already.
Really?
And loved.
Roger's favorite, which I did not like. But then he also, in 2007, and I think just going down his directorship credits, just explains everything. In 2007, he directed a movie called Spanking Lessons.
Really? Was that a theatrical release?
So that just explains everything right there. So, no, I despise this piece of garbage. It's just like, I was watching this and I just kept thinking, it could have been so much better. I think I lost it.
You're back.
I'm back?
Yes.
I just had to bang on the table. It just could have been so much better because it's just too much talking. And the movie got good when their people are, getting whacked. That's good with the little puppets. And the puppets are just great. The whole movie should be like the Penguins of Madagascar. Every scene has got to have a puppet. Like in Penguins of Madagascar, every scene, there's a penguin. There's either Rico or Kowalski, or they're just doing crazy things. And this movie would have been over the top awesome if it just every scene there's a puppet doing awesome nefarious things. But no, we got to watch Paul Le Mat, which is from American Graffiti, being an old guy, poor sound, made for TV quality. People are trying to act like it's some serious movie and there's a plot, but there's no plot, there's no acting. It should just be the puppets slash. I love the little slasher guy and his eyes kind of. But this movie, like, it checks things off. Like, it's a cheap horror, and cheap horror should have like nudity, and this movie has that. So it checked this off. But it was funny because
it was almost good.
Yeah. There was one scene where they're looking through this keyhole, and the puppets look through this keyhole, and the guy with the knife, his eyes get big because he sees them, I guess, in there. It's just great stuff, but it just doesn't have enough of the puppets. It's just, and the guy with the spinny head, that's just great stuff. And the little woman puppet.
Oh, jeez. The Leech Woman, I think is how she's described in the.
Yeah, she starts like seducing the guy who's like tied up. Yeah, that right there. And the guy's like liking it. And then she opens her mouth, and then leeches come out, and then I guess the leeches kill this guy.
Unexpectedly,
yeah.
Scott, where are you at with Puppet Master?
Well, I don't think I despised this movie as much as Gene did, but I didn't care for it. I definitely believe, like what Gene is saying, as far as there's not really any story here.
No, there's nothing going on.
Yeah. And I think, although I will say at the beginning I was kind of intrigued because I almost questioned whether I was watching a sequel or not, because these people were talking like they had this history with this dead guy, right?
Yeah.
And they were all these like magicians or like almost
Psychics.
Like a superhero kind of X-Men sort of gathering. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting, and I don't really. So I had to double check I wasn't watching Puppet Master 2 because I thought maybe I missed something.
No. Welcome to Charles Band Productions.
just throw everything
just
at the
jump
wall.
right in.
Yeah, and that's fine. I have no problem with that at all. However, once I did have an issue on the basic storytelling level, just because of there wasn't much of a story, and once they got into the house, they had this history with this dead guy, but there wasn't. I didn't feel like it generated any stakes in the beginning other than, well, we're just going to go see our friend who's dead who screwed us out of a bunch of money or something. Mm-hmm. So there wasn't a lot of tension there other than just, and plus there was a lot of strange scenes, like people were not reacting to this dead guy appearing out of nowhere. He would just appear in a chair, for example, and nobody responds. I guess the widow does, but no one else like, oh, he's just sitting there in a chair for some reason. Like, did they expect that? Which the story didn't indicate they were prepared for that. And then, as you say, Gene, the deaths start occurring, and which I was kind of disappointed in that because they started killing off the most interesting characters, which was the Witch Woman. I thought it was probably Dana was the most interesting character. She actually had a personality, had some things that distinguished her from the others, and she was sarcastic and everything. And then they kill her. Yeah, and they kill her. So, not to mention the fact that the deaths happen all in rapid succession when there's no time for the story to breathe or for the characters to respond or to figure out what they're going to do next. It's just like wham, wham, wham. So for me, this movie felt like an excuse just to do. It almost felt like it was constructed from the top down instead of the bottom up, meaning, hey, I love puppets, so we're going to do a bunch of cool puppet stuff, and then we'll just shoehorn a movie in around it. That's how it felt. But it also made me think about like another, I think, Full Moon production, which was Subspecies, where they had little demon characters.
No, we're not reviewing that one.
Okay, well, I'm just saying I've seen that movie, and it was had a similar kind of vibe, but that movie felt like they maybe kind of added to the story versus where the whole sole purpose for the story existing. So anyway, I wasn't impressed, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I like that. I like how you said it was reversed, and they that's how it feels. It's like
feel organic.
They had the puppets, but then they shoehorned the rest in. Yeah. Good.
So the reason this movie is great,
I knew you were going to say that.
And really,
it's
right here.
Of those?
It's Leech Woman.
Oh. Do you have more of those? Can we see Leech Woman?
Because
I'm sorry, reaching on
go ahead.
The beauty of Leech Woman, and nothing would make me happier than to have a standalone Leech Woman film.
Be better than this one, I'm sure.
Because I cannot imagine, because both Scott and Gene are talking about, they had this idea of puppets in a movie. Well, who in the hell decided that one of the puppets would be Leech Woman? Because the other puppets, there's like one called Blade. Why is he called Blade? He's got a big knife for a hand and a hook. Yeah. Right? There's Tunneler. He's got a drill thing on his head, right? There's Pinhead, who's really strong. You can obviously tell what everyone's power is. Leech Woman's power is, first of all, you have to be incapacitated, because her power is I crawl up on you and then I start vomiting leeches onto you that then drain your blood. Yes. And I'm just like, what coke-fueled fever dream story writer was like, oh yeah, Leech Woman, this is a great idea. Because I think it's appalling, and I love her. It's a great
idea.
I love her.
Awesome.
And there's a little bit of a backstory on the Leech Woman character, because there is this rumor that Paramount Pictures, which originally put up the funding for Puppet Master, because of course there's like 12 Puppet Master movies at this point. And
12.
And the producers,
you've seen all 12?
Yes, the production company
love it.
was so appalled by the Leech Woman character that they really pressured Charles Band to remove that character.
What?
And so in the second one, she dies a fiery death pretty quickly to get her out of the series.
She's pretty gross, I will say.
But then she comes back in the third movie, because the third movie is kind of almost a origin story for Leech Woman, because Leech Woman is actually the spirit of Andre Toulon's wife, who the Nazis kill in the third one.
Oh, man.
But I cannot get enough of Leech Woman. And I just think that's the thing that really endears me to this movie. Everything Scott is saying and Gene are saying is right. It really is this, hey, we go to this house, we're not really explaining a lot, and then we're going to die one by one. It's kind of a Friday the 13th template, really. But I just love that puppet so much that I am totally recommending this movie.
Yeah.
You don't have the other puppets.
No, because I don't care about the other puppets, but I do.
Really? Like the guy with the spinning head?
But wait.
This I've never opened, but it's a much more involved.
Show the audience.
Much more involved Leech Woman. So she even comes with her little case and interchangeable heads and leeches and
the actual leeches. Oh, you got to open this.
No, do not open it.
What does your wife say when it shows up in the mail?
She doesn't pay a lot of attention to weird things, but I do have a shelf where
the wife is an art teacher,
where Leech Woman sits up on the shelf along with Coraline and Megan and those types of characters.
So you have sort of a
little
collection of weird
creepy
female
dolls. Yeah, they're not all women. There's Loch Ness Monster is also up there.
Oh.
Although I guess she's a female too, Nessie. but anyway, The
here, look at the back. Oh my gosh.
the Puppet Master films, of course, and they introduce new puppets as the films go along. There's 6 shooters, guy with 6 arms, and he's got guns and things.
All six arms?
Clearly these movies made enough money for them to keep making them.
Well,
right?
and that was the big surprise, because
yeah.
originally Puppet Master was going to be a theatrical release, and then they ended up going, well, no, we think maybe we have a better shot at making our money back by just putting it out on video, right?
So straight to video?
This was back in the VHS,
89,
all that stuff,
right?
right?
Yeah.
And shockingly, it was a huge hit on video. And so then we got Puppet Master 2, 3, 4, 5. And as the puppets go, they start to become heroic, right? So the third
Instead
one,
of just vicious killers.
the third one is the last one where they're really just evil killers, and then the fourth one they start being the good guys. And then as we get to like the 11th one or whatever, they kind of become Nazi puppets, and so they go back to being bad again.
Wow.
You've devoted some time to this.
I love the Puppet Master series because, and again, I think Scott can appreciate at least the low budget nature of this, where here's some guys, they're like, we're going to do this thing, and here's our movie.
One
now.
location.
Yeah,
essentially.
you know,
Yeah.
and people like it. And the reason I like it so much, of course, is Leech Woman. I love the third one because Leech Woman's in it a lot.
Oh.
So Scott, you just got to get your movie out there. You know, just stop with this
I don't
like
think I have
cerebral stuff and just get it out there. And then before you know it, you're on House of Theater of Pain Part 5.
Oh, maybe. I don't have any puppets in that movie though.
Well,
Yeah. And then, you know,
Leech Woman is looking for work probably right now.
she's right there.
Give
She's
Charles
unemployed.
Band a call.
No, here's a Leech Woman. She has a knife in her hand.
Yeah.
Well, you know, going back to this movie.
Oh, yeah, we're...
As far as like some of the nature of the deaths, let's just say, for example, there's a scene where I'll just call her the empath, the woman who would feel things in various locations, whether she was in a bathtub or a bed. She would feel whatever happened.
Gene's favorite character.
Is that right? Okay, yeah.
Just have to sigh.
And she wasn't as interesting as the fortune teller, but
No, she was very... Sorry, I interrupted.
no, you're fine. I was just going to say one of the things I remembered about the movie was that annoy me, and this is kind of a lot of kind of typical horror movies of the era, where people don't respond in a certain way. Like, for example, she's under the bed. Here's a noise. She's under the bed looking for, Drillhead. What's his name?
Tunneler.
Sorry.
How do you know their names?
They get names as the series progresses.
Yes, he's familiar with the series, with the franchise. So Tunneler shows up, and she sees him, and he runs at her, right? And we, of course, don't see exactly what happens because her feet are kicking from under the bed, but apparently she saw him coming enough to sit there and let her face get drilled.
Right.
Which I was... You know, it's like, get out of the way. You see the threat coming. It's not a surprise. You know? And yet she just sits there. Stuff like that always kind of annoys me. She really, as we see later, took it pretty hard in the face. Which reminds me... Go ahead, Gene. I was going to say something else, but...
Oh, well, the tunneler moves very fast.
Was that it?
We can't underestimate the speed of the tunneler.
Yeah.
But I love this character because, like, she feels like sensual things. So she's laying on this bed... And she senses that, oh, yeah, Clark Gable and this other actor.
Carol Lombard.
Lombard.
Other actress?
Yeah, But they were on this bed, you know, doing their thing, and she could sense them. And other things, like she was in a bathtub. Oh, 2 women were in this bathtub in 1938. Yeah.
And was the guy her husband or boyfriend? I couldn't figure out if they were. That's kind of sleazy.
It's kind of it's very.
He's got the drug dealer ponytail, which reminds me when they were introduced in that scene where they're part of this like the dream. I don't say therapy, but experiment to analyze people's dreams. Did you notice that he's able to see what she's dreaming about with no sort of visual display? It's a bunch of numbers and blinky lights, and it's like, oh, she's walking on the beach. Right. Oh, she's doing this. Oh, she's. How do you know that?
that cheap computer that they had. Yeah,
Scott, you're questioning things in a low budget movie that you just shouldn't question. Just accept it, baby.
Yeah, it was like an Apple II Commodore. Yeah.
It wasn't even a computer. It was just a bunch of numbers.
Yeah, Star Trek blinky lights.
Exactly.
You know,
that's a great analogy.
But the one thing about this movie, because horror movies can go a couple different directions. This movie is really more about here's the after effect of the horror that we didn't actually show you. Like Scott was saying, where Tunneler is coming, you don't see Tunneler going through her face. Right. You see what her body looks like after.
I mean, later we see that when the villain gets his
right, of course, the villain, and that's
yeah.
that's pretty standard for the Puppet Master movies. They really give it to the villain,
who for some reason turns on them in the last act. I didn't understand.
Well,
that.
because he had made the mistake of saying that he was going to go down the road of reanimating dead humans and forgetting about these stupid puppets.
Oh, and they were offended.
Yeah, so they were like, we ain't having any of that.
Yeah, because he says the puppets are just silly, or they're not as worth his time.
And boy, is he a scenery chewing villain. Man, that guy. He's just like, this is my one chance to show my craft, I guess. I don't know. Compared to everybody else, he was way over the top.
Right.
Yeah, his death sequence kind of went on and on in the elevator. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I will say that the scene where he is, basically barfing up exposition at the end there, explaining everything, and he's got his three dead victims from the puppets. I felt so sorry for those actors because they're sitting there forever and they've got all this, gore makeup on them and everything.
And they had to be still.
And they can't move.
Right.
So that's sort of the low budget filmmaker in me kind of popped out at that point. And I was like, oh, man, they're probably not getting paid very much to do that.
Well, I'm certain they aren't. The budget for this was maybe $1 million if that.
Well, if the movie made money, so hopefully they maybe got a
They're not getting
residual.
points. They're not getting points, maybe. No way.
Yeah, Paul Lamette. Yeah, I'm American Graffiti. Yeah, I'll sign up for 50% of your profits. No,
yeah, which, by the way, it's like, I was so disappointed when they killed everybody off except him, the most bland character in the story. I mean, obviously he's the name, right? Because he had some previous big hit.
Right, American Graffiti
which
is
was
really his claim to fame.
How many years ago before this movie? 20,
well, it was
15, something like
73, and then this was 89.
Yeah.
But
yeah, he was bad.
Yeah,
really
agreed.
bad.
Yeah, he definitely did not want to be there.
Oh.
Is my thought.
Give me a paycheck.
Yeah.
I'll show up. Yeah.
Of course, we did see very early on our old friend Barbara Crampton that we recall from Reanimator.
Which they point out in the credits, right? The opening credits say
Yep.
special appearance
Yep.
by.
Yep. So I don't know. She just must have been on set that day and said, sure, I'll fill in right here.
I'm right here.
Which, well, I don't even think she was on set because they don't even show them in the same shot. Her and the fortune teller, when they're doing that, they show the two-shot, her with her boyfriend, and then the fortune teller, who, by the way, is freaking out at one point because she's having a vision, and they show no reaction shots of the other actors. But,
yeah, you're probably right there. I wasn't paying that much attention to that scene, but I bet you that's exactly.
Barbara,
it might have even been just some extra footage they had from some other random movie they never actually
and
got
they
out
just threw it in
out
there.
of the can. Yeah,
that's a good possibility actually. Tailor the other actors' performance or responses to what they already have.
Yeah. Because as you watch the rest of the series, which I know Gene will probably do that, you'll
10 more episodes.
You'll see a lot of recycled footage.
Are you serious?
Coming back in, yeah.
Really?
And so, but that's Full Moon Productions. That's Charles Band. That's Roger Corman.
That's how you save
kind
money,
of the way
yeah.
we
What
do
they
things,
do.
we spent a whole bunch of money on this cool spaceship effects shot. We're going to use it as many times as we can.
Well, there's also some great examples in film history about him taking like old Russian sci-fi movies and recutting them. Corman, I think, did that once.
Oh yeah.
So if you can get it cheaply, then you can rework it.
And I think one of the more well-known ones that's not horror, What's Up, Tiger Lily, if you remember that one. Yeah.
Woody Allen. Yeah.
And so lots of cool stuff. Gene, anything more to say about Puppet Master?
No, I'm done. I'm done.
But you are recommending.
No, I'm not recommending. Well, it's Amazon Prime free. We have Amazon Prime subscriptions, as a lot of us do.
On Tubi also.
I would say if you want to watch this, go ahead and watch it, but fast forward until you start to see a puppet, and then you can start watching. And then the kills, well, some of them are prolonged, like the killing of that character that you liked. Just went on and on and on, and she kept like dragging her like body down the hallway, and it's just like, get up, you're not hurt that bad, and then
when Dana's trying to crawl away,
and then
that stupid guy would not die no matter
that
how many times she threw him
pinhead
down the stairwell.
she beat up that pinhead guy like 3 times, but then she's not thinking too well because she throws Pinhead all the way down to the ground floor from like story 5 or whatever, and then she gets on the elevator and then she goes down to the ground floor and then they have a reunion.
Well, the helicopter wasn't available for the roof shot, I guess.
yeah so but
had to go down.
yeah, that just seemed to go on forever. But she meets her end. So.
Yeah.
And Scott, you are also highly recommending this film.
No, Roger, I can't recommend this movie. I mean, if you're going to go this route and make a movie like this, I would think you'd at least elevate the camp level, maybe a little higher, or have a story, because there's no story. Maybe in the sequels they actually come up with more of a story.
More Nazis.
Throw in some Nazis. Okay, all right. But
well, I am definitely on board with this movie, primarily because of Leech Woman,
yeah.
who I absolutely adore. If you want kind of a lot of the things that Gene and Scott are talking about, watch the third one. The gore content is high up. It's more of a revenge kind of movie, kind of like Death Wish, where the puppets are going out exacting their vengeance on Nazis. It's definitely good. But I recommend all of the Puppet Master movies except for, I think it's Retro Puppet Master, which is, or no, is it Legacy? I can't remember. But you guys who've
How
seen
many
Puppet
movies?
Master, I think there's 12.
wow.
But there's one which is just a bunch of cut footage from all the other ones and isn't really a movie, but all the rest are good.
Okay.
Gene, what are we doing next week?
Isn't really a movie. It's a good description.
There's a movie called The Monster. I think it's 2016 with Zoe Kazan. I'm not saying her last name right, but we're doing that.
The Monster.
The Monster.
The Monster.
Oh, I've heard of this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it the one from 1954?
No.
No. Okay.
No, it's
And
like
it's not
2016.
Gareth Edwards' Monsters.
No, it's an
Oh my
A20.
God.
It's an
That movie,
A24.
I hated that movie
Did
so
you
much.
really?
Well, and the weird thing about Gareth Edwards, and we're off topic now, but not
Yeah.
really. Monsters, when I saw that, it was all about the two aliens or two monster creatures mating. Then Gareth,
Yeah, that's the one that's in Mexico.
I
Yeah.
hate that movie. And then the
Yeah.
thing that really frustrated me was then they give the new Godzilla movie to Gareth Edwards. What's a primary plot point in there? Those two mutos trying to mate. And I'm like, what is up with this guy? Is he weird? What's his weird fetish, right? Apparently
Well, it's not Leech
alien.
Woman, apparently,
yeah,
but it's
right.
monsters.
And so, I just, oh my God, that movie I hate that movie.
Well, Americans have no idea how to make a Godzilla movie to begin with. So I'll just throw that out there.
Nor should they be, right?
It's got to be Japanese. It has to be.
Definitely much better, yes. But I'm on board with Godzilla King of the Monsters as well as Kong versus Godzilla. Both of those were pretty awesome. But anyway, next week we'll be back. We'll be doing Monster.
Monster, yeah.
Is that an A20? Is that an A24?
It is an A24.
Okay, so we'll be back in Gene's wheelhouse when we were now in my wheelhouse today. So, Scott,
Monster.
are you anything else to say about Puppet Master, or are you joining us for Monster?
Monster, I would come back for that. That sounds perplexing.
If we had said we were doing Puppet Master 2, would you have come back for that?
No, in fact, it's funny you say that because Amazon tried to autoplay Puppet Master 2, and I could not reach the keyboard fast enough to turn it off.
No way.
That is awesome. I appreciate Amazon doing that. They were trying to help you out.
No,
Scott.
actually, here's a screenshot of. It's actually The Monster 2016.
Okay,
Right
well,
there.
at
The
least we got
Monster.
the movie properly. So
Yeah.
we will. Scott, thank you so much for coming
Yes,
on.
thanks.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And Scott, get that movie done.
I know,
Then
I'm
the
sorry.
sequels will start flowing.
Yeah,
You
we
know,
do.
We got to get the cash rolling here.
Oh.
We are
Yeah,
looking forward
yeah.
to reviewing that.
We are.
Yeah. No pressure, though. I
Yeah.
mean, it's either that or we have to do another Puppet Master movie.
Oh,
so,
okay. That's motivation. right?
Yeah, let's save Gene some time. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.
Monster.